you guys, this is Simone from It's Not That Bad. Thank you to everybody who has listened to the podcast so far, who has subscribed, who has sent us feedback. We love and appreciate all of you. It's been so exciting to share our little podcast with you guys. So, in that spirit, we have decided to launch a little competition. It's really straightforward, you guys. All you guys have to do is like and follow us on iTunes, give us a rating. If you think we're shit, that's fine. Just rate us. If you think we're great, that's great. You're great too. Rate us then. Then also comment with 2 movies that you think we should review. Remember, guys, these cannot be critically good movies. These have to be movies that did very bad critically. So we're not going to do Infinity War. We're not going to do My Sister's Keeper. These need to be good, bad movies. Find them, tell us which ones you'd like to hear us cover, and if we pick your movies, we will send you 2 copies, well, a copy of each movie, and we will send you a £20 Amazon gift voucher, or the equivalent in whatever currency you use. Really easy. Please enter. Please tell all your friends. This competition will be running from today, the 11th of September, for 2 weeks. So that's until the 25th of September. Good luck, and we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Enjoy the show! Hi, and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people.
See, every week, perfect delivery. You know, you are clearly...
I feel now like I need to bow afterwards. If you could throw flowers, you would, I'm sure.
I would throw flowers, and one day on Skype there will be, an app that I can throw flowers at you, or like an emoji or something, throwing flowers in your direction. So, hi everyone, this is Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Ekowitz.
And welcome to the podcast where we review terrible movies, and as the name suggests, we say they're not that bad. And we find out good things about them. This week, Simone is doing Waterworld.
I sure am. And Chad will be doing The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies.
Oh my god. Right, so let's get straight into it. So our first segment, as always, is What Are You Drinking? Simone, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a nice Namaqua Merlot.
Oh, I missed
It's a
Namaqua.
2016 Merlot. Yeah, they've rebranded their bottles.
Oh, really?
So they actually look real fancy.
Oh, wow. That's some nice lettering,
cute.
that is.
Yeah. And they're actually pretty decent. They have a pinotage that is really solid.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah,
They didn't have the pinotage in the shop today, so that's why I'm having the Merlot.
That's so wonderful. I do miss the Namaqua. You can't get African wines here, which I think is such a shame.
Yeah, because they're the best ones.
Of course, I mean, the country, the dirt is just a better quality of soil, so you're going to get the freshest grapes you can imagine.
And you've got a better quality of people picking those grapes, so...
Oh, definitely.
Really, it's all the way up. Just South Africans are better than everyone.
That's true. That is the start of the national anthem. I mean, this is a joke that only South Africans will get, so I'm sorry for the rest of our listeners all across the world, because we know that we have a massive fan base for 4 episodes in.
All 10 of you?
Oh, yeah. Both of my parents. But I saw a really funny joke the other day. It's, all men are the Afrikaans verse of the national anthem. And if that joke doesn't make sense to you, go listen to Nkosi Sisilele, which is the South African national anthem, and wait till the Afrikaans bit, and you will realise that all men...
The key, though, is you have to listen to, people actually singing it, at a stadium or something, because it's really quiet through a lot of the African languages, and then it gets to the Afrikaans bit, and suddenly all the white people join in.
It's very obvious that, white people have not taken the time to learn it. Oh, it's so funny. Mm-hmm. It's great. I love that bit where it's just like...
Hey, blow.
And it is all men. All men are the South African bit. So I am drinking the same wine that I was drinking last time, a Chenin Blanc, the Cambalala. It was the most African wine I could find, and it's actually it is Cambalala.
I know, but it's just your emphasis on the syllables. It's just...
Look, I'm gonna try my. What would you say, Cambalala? Cambalala?
You keep saying it the same way every time.
You're making me really self-conscious about how I'm saying this now. Cambalala. What do you want from me? But yes, it's it's from the Western Cape, so I'm really happy. It's a tiny piece of home. So yeah, it's deliciously refreshing. It's a 2017 Cambalala. Whatever. I'm done with this. So whatever. I'm okay. Fine. Let's just do movie reviews. Now that you made me feel very bad about myself.
Okay, cool. Wait, what percent is yours?
I think it is 12.5. What are you at?
13.5, sucker.
Good lord, you're gonna get so drunk.
Maybe I already am. You don't know.
So, do you want to start? I mean, who started last week?
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't have a starter last week because.
But didn't we say the person with the highest volume goes first?
We'll stick with that. Okay, so you can go first. So we'll do Waterworld first.
Okay. So, Waterworld, released in 1995. I'm going to do a brief plot synopsis for anyone unfortunate enough, or fortunate enough, to not have watched this movie.
I loved it, so I'm excited to hear your synopsis of it from someone who didn't seem to enjoy the film.
Did you watch the director's cut or the theatrical version?
I think it was the theatrical one. It's the one that's on Netflix right now.
Oh, then I'm not sure which one you watched.
I'm sure it's the theatrical then. But yeah, I believe I just watched the normal one. Did you watch the normal one or the director's?
I watched the normal one.
Yeah, okay. So I think we'll probably be on the same... Yeah, we'll be on the same track. But okay, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so the synopsis. So, in this movie, capitalizing on the big trend for post-apocalyptic movies, this movie takes place after all land on Earth is completely submerged in water after the polar ice caps have melted. As a side note, in the IMDb trivia, they say that this would not happen if the polar ice caps completely melted. So, we're off to a great start scientifically.
Well, thank God IMDb is there to tell us what will happen. The trusted journal of scientific accuracy.
Truly. So, the story follows the Mariner, played by a balding Kevin Costner. And I'm comfortable insulting Kevin Costner, and I'll tell you why later. So he's initially navigating this post-apocalyptic world of life at sea with pirates and shit, and after he's almost murdered for having gills, literally, he takes on Helen, played by Jean Triplehorn.
Great surname.
And a young girl named Enola, played by Tina Majorina. And sharp listeners will notice that Enola is alone, spelled backwards.
Damn.
Which really sets the tone for how obvious this movie is.
I did not actually realize this, so this is an embarrassing moment for me.
Well, it's one of those things where when you find it out, you're like, ugh, of course it is. So, the film follows the three of them trying to escape these pirates called Smokers, who has somehow figured out how to, harness gasoline.
Literally all the gasoline on the planet.
Yeah. And it's found that Enola holds the key to finding dry land, which apparently still exists somewhere. So after a series of misadventures and some sex crimes, dry land is found, Kevin Costner disappears back into the ocean where he belongs, and it turns out that Enola was from land all along in the least surprising plot twist in movie history.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
This movie had a budget of $200 million. It was one of the biggest budget movies of the time, surpassed only by Titanic, which came through later.
No.
$200 million.
Can you... Oh my god, do you remember the days? That's a horror film budget now.
Yeah, it's standard. But back then it was completely massive.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, that is a massive sum of money no matter how you look at it, but even, like, thinking about it in the context of the day, that's awesome.
Yeah, because they insisted on actually filming on the ocean off the coast of Hawaii. They actually built that atoll set, that village where he first meets Helen and Enola. Like, that was a real thing. It sank at one point. Production was also a bit of a shit show because filming on water is hard. And on that set, there were no bathrooms. So every time somebody wanted to go to the bathroom, they had to take a boat to land, use a porta potty, and come back. So filming was initially supposed to take something like 97 days. It took, I think, 167 days or something around that. That
is, just build toilets on the barge or pee off the boat.
It was just a shit show production-wise. Well, tell me, what were your thoughts? Tell me, like...
I really enjoyed this film. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did not find it bad at all. I came in knowing virtually nothing about it. And from the very first moment, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed how the Universal logo, disappeared into the scene, and then, the ice caps melted, and then everything was water. And then there was just one bit of dialogue of narration, and that just made me so happy already. So I like, straight away, I was just fucking in love with this film, just from that narration. I wanted to ask you from the first bit, like he pees into the thing and then he makes like a filtration system. As a scientist, how accurate is that system?
So I was going to get into this, but I have a problem with a lot of the technology in this movie, right? Because in theory, this is like 100 years after the Earth has been submerged in water, right? So why is the fucking technology not better? I understand a lot of humanity was wiped out. Not everybody's skilled. But by the looks of things, they don't have a lot to do day to day. Like, how are there not better filtration systems? That's why I can kind of go with Kevin Costner, like, peeing into something, and maybe somebody is, like, finally fucking invented a decent filter. But, like, how are they living on, like, a little man-made island, and there's one sad pot to tomato plant? Like, has no one figured out how to use, like, algae as a fertilizer, or aquaponics, or, like, anything like that? Nobody's figured it out. How's nobody, like, bred plants which grow really well in salty water? Like, it really, this movie really predisposes that, like, all of humanity left are not the brightest.
I think in a way, that's its message, because there's little hints of that type of thing every now and again. Like, it really tries and pushes that sort of value system of, if we don't change things, like, the stupid people are going to take over, and it's going to drown the planet. And it's like a really forced and slippery slope metaphor.
Yeah.
The fact that, when the boat sinks at the end, it says Exxon Valdez, just blew my freaking mind, man. Because it was just, like, so on the nose. It was unnecessarily on the nose about, using too much oil and polluting the planet and things like that. And the fact that the pirates are called smokers as well. Which was also sort of, one of my biggest questions of the film is, how did they get that oil?
Oh, the extended edition goes into that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
the extended edition makes much more sense.
That's going to be my afternoon.
It's also 176 minutes, so...
Oh, okay. I don't think I'm prepared for that just quite yet. Yeah. I loved the words they used. Like, it's only 100 years after, but I really enjoyed the words they used. So, pure hydro as water. Someone mentions the skyboat, which just... Again, like the Exxon Valdez thing, it blew my mind. Skyboat, like, it's an aeroplane, and the really bad guy at the end even calls it an aeroplane. So calling it a skyboat is just...
It's so
silly and amazing, and the fact that they call petrol go juice as well, just... It's all just fucking insane and wonderful, and it makes me really happy. Porto-Greek being the language... obviously a combination, almost as good as Twilight's Renesmee of Portuguese and Greek, just, mashing words together. I wanted to look up, and maybe you can tell me this actually, Joe Hazelwood, was the captain of the Exxon Valdez ship at the end. Did you find out who Joe Hazelwood was?
No, I didn't. I didn't look into that.
Because I would love to know if Joe Hazelwood was someone important that we just kind of don't really know anything about, and it's kind of just mentioned by the best villain of all time.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. No villain is as cool as that guy. I loved him from the moment he pitched up right until the end when he died. I was actually a bit sad when he died. He was super nice to the kid when he captured her. He's hilarious.
He was actually a very solid villain. I will give him that.
The Deacon. What a terrible villain name as well.
So, my take on this is that actually it is a very decent adventure film because it's got the sets and the scenery and the shots and like the action sequences are really well done. A lot of their budget was taken up with stunt doubles and whatnot. And I really did like the villain.
Yeah. No, the villain was great.
The Deacon.
The Deacon. But I love that one scene at the sort of the end when he's on the ship. And he's got the eye patch, and he puts on the admiral hat, and he's just a full-on pirate.
It's lovely.
It just made me so happy.
Yeah, and his character also gives, like, a little bit of comic relief, like the one point where they're, like, giving him a new eye, and they're like, no, it looks great. He's like, it does not look great. And they're all like, I mean...
And he turns around and the eye flies out.
Yeah. That was great. So in my opinion, what brought down this movie was the main characters. Okay, the Mariner, played by fucking Kevin Costner, he's a complete asshole. He consistently humiliates and verbally abuses the two girls with, like, the slightest provocation. And I guess, like, this is meant to be, like, really, like, gritty and necessary in the face of survival, but it really just comes off as super dickish and a little rapey. Like... He humiliates Helen by letting her strip down in front of him, even though he has no intention of sleeping with her. And, like, later that's supposedly redeemed because he's like, no, I know you didn't want it. But it's like, then why did you let her take off her clothes? He also cuts off their hair for no reason, which is extremely abusive, actually. And then he lets her believe that he sold her as a sex slave for, like, a good 5 minutes. Before he kills the dude that he sold her to.
Yeah, for reals. And for paper. What is...
Yeah! Of all things, who cares?
Like, 35 minutes for paper. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
But on top of that, so he's awful, but on top of that, Helen is also written to be super annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's meant to come off as very, like, resilient, but it just comes off as, like, unnecessarily naggy and persistent. And then the two characters have exactly no chemistry, and then they, like, have sex. And you're like, but...
Oh my gosh.
This doesn't make sense.
That sex scene did not make sense. I mean, Kevin Costner in that film is not a good actor. Like, just genuinely, just terrible at the scenes. But that sex scene makes no sense. I mean, Elona gets taken.
No.
And they are, like, on the broken ship keel. And then it's like, why didn't you have me? Because you didn't want me. Well, things have changed. Let's bang. Like... Your pseudo-daughter has just been taken hostage. Like, there are more important things to do right now than plow each other. Like, genuinely, he sliced your hair off. Why would you be like, ooh, that is definitely Stockholm Syndrome. Like, there's no question. Like,
and also, he's been the worst. He's been the worst the entire time. And even fucking Enola is just the brattiest little kid ever. It's like, bitch, you cannot swim. You are not in a position to be pissing off the captain of a boat. And, like, I get that she's meant to be sassy, but she does not come off as sassy and cute. She just comes off as, like, fucking annoying. So, like, the movie's really hard to watch because you literally don't care about any of the main characters. Like, you're like, I sincerely just want to follow the Deacon through whatever happens. At this point, I want him to win because at least I care about him.
Yeah, 100%. I loved the Deacon in this film. He is the only one you actually grow attached to. Because he's just really fantastic as a character. He's got so much depth. He's so deep in comparison to the rest of them. And he's just so wonderful. But yeah, I mean, the fact that little Elona can't swim, makes no fucking sense. That should be the first thing you're taught in a Waterworld. It's a Waterworld. It's literally called
There's
that.
nothing, you're doing literally nothing else.
Like, and babies are supposed to naturally be able to swim. So, like, the second she got burnt, to be fair, okay, she's a land baby, apparently. You know, at the end, she's like, I'm home. And it's like, okay, fine, fair enough. Yeah, okay. But A, how did you get from the land to the sea if you are a land baby? And how did you do so without learning to swim? Like, for reals.
And also, how did nobody notice that you didn't know how to swim and then immediately teach you because you live on water?
I'm sure she must have fallen into the water at least once. Like, just on accident. Oh, I'm just going to the toilet. Oh, whoops, I'm in water. Oh, you don't know how to swim. Okay, let's teach you. Also, this is really weird that you don't know how to swim, but, you know, we'll just leave that for now. Let's just teach you how to swim and everything's going to be fine.
Yes. And so all the people on land tattoo their babies?
It would seem so. They're walking flyers, I think. I think because it looks really funny at the end because there's quite a few of those little maps sitting on the table. So yeah. I think what happened, my theory about what happened is they were doing the flyers and sending them out, and then they realized that the flyers weren't effective enough, so they tattooed it on babies and sent out babies.
They're just looking at these babies like,
Apart from those things that just really did not make sense, I thoroughly enjoyed this adventure film. I mean, it must have been fun to do the stunts in it, because they were all really well choreographed and really well shot. I mean, the fact that they got through the boat so nicely was very cool. Like, you know, navigating through the boat was really fun to watch.
No, it was well, like, everything besides the main characters was great.
I will say one thing about Kevin Costner's performance that I did like. The one thing is that scene where he's like continuously going underwater and then up above the water and underwater and up above the water. His acting is good there because it doesn't look like he's out of breath at any point. So it just seems like, you know, the gills are actually working and he can do sort of that thing. And that's the only good bit of his acting, I would say. The rest is atrocious.
Yeah, it's not... We'll talk about Kevin Costner in a bit. So, what, in your opinion, is the scene that could have saved it?
I don't know. I think the scene that could have saved it would have been seeing more genuine moments between the three main characters. Like you said, there's no depth in it at all, and so you side with the villain. If we had seen the three main characters sort of getting more close and more chummy, maybe a scene where, you know, Alona, there was the one scene where he teaches her how to swim, and it's all in slow-mo, which makes no sense. But like more scenes where they're like, oh, we're growing as a family. It would have been nice. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that would have made me care.
Apparently, that was something that was more in the extended edition. So the director's cut, which was 176 minutes, was considered obviously way too long for audiences. So they cut it down, and because they'd spent so much money on all the stunts and action scenes, the slower scenes with like just dialogue and stuff were the first ones to go.
Oh, wow. Because obviously that's not the money well spent type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happened there.
Well, I mean... Yeah, we can't judge it on the basis of the extended edition. We've got to judge it on the basis of the audience edition, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what scene do you think would have saved it? I'm excited from someone who actually genuinely didn't enjoy it.
So here's my theory, and it's because I spoke to a friend of mine who watched it as a kid, and she loved the movie, and she like said she wanted Kevin Costner to be her dad when she watched it, kind of thing. So here's the thing. I think that Waterworld would have done really well as a children's adventure movie, okay? Because then the world building doesn't matter, because it's just a kid's movie. You still have, like, the fun villain. You just have a couple more scenes with Enola in. And you take out the weird rapey scenes and the sex scenes, which don't matter. And then it's just a really fun children's adventure story that takes place on the ocean.
Yeah. That actually sounds really good. No, I agree with you. I mean, what's that film with Robert De Niro with the space, with the flying boats, and he's like a pirate?
Are you thinking of Stardust?
I'm thinking of Stardust, I think. And that's
Stardust is one of my favorite movies of all time.
You see, and I think this film is kind of similar to Stardust in a weird way. And no, am I just thinking of Just the ships and making a comparison?
Yeah, I think you're just thinking of the ships because Stardust was also a joy and written by Terry Pratchett, so...
Okay, well, I think I'll be silent on that, but I 100% agree with you. It should have been a child's adventure. There's so much whimsy, the music is whimsical, everything about it is just a little bit odd, like the costume design. Also, the costume design is superb in it.
So good. It's a little, like, steampunky.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. Like, I love a good steampunk anything.
Yeah, John Bloomfield, who was the costume designer, did a fucking good job.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just...
Great job.
I just wrote down names at the end of the film. I was like, let's just try and bring a level of professionalism to this podcast that we are not good at. So yeah, John Bloomfield did the costume, and like you said, it's superb and whimsical and lovely. So yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. So Simone, bad director or bad film? Our next segment. Tell me. There's actually
a lot to this.
Okay. Oh, I'm so excited.
I don't know if you know about all the drama that happened behind the scenes of the film.
I do not.
Okay, basically, also why I didn't feel bad about insulting Kevin Costner is because he's the sole reason that this film ended up being so shit.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so Kevin Reynolds was the director of this film. And you will know Kevin Reynolds. He directed The Count of Monte Cristo and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, both of which were excellent movies from our childhood. So, and he obviously worked with Kevin Costner doing Robin Hood. And apparently they hated each other the whole time they worked on Robin Hood. And when he was asked to direct Waterworld, he specifically said, please do not cast Kevin Costner. He's the worst. And the studio promptly ignored him and cast Kevin Costner. So, Kevin fancied himself a bit of a writer and a bit of a director.
Oh,
he made a bunch of rewrites to the script that nobody was allowed to change. Literally, they did a bunch of rewrites. Joss Whedon was brought on. He said it was the worst time of his life because it was so shit trying to do rewrites, and then Kevin Costner's like, no, you can't change that. No, you can't change that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it was like a script that was rewritten and rewritten and rewritten, and then Kevin Costner was like, this is what I want it to be. On top of all of the, like, ridiculously difficult aspects of filming it on water. Okay, and then the reason that the budget was so big, one of the reasons, was because Kevin Costner not only got a massive paycheck from it, because he's very famous, he also stayed in, like, an $18,000 suite in Hawaii while they were filming it, while the rest of the cast and crew were basically living in squalor. He insisted on riding a yacht to set every day. Yeah, he was not great. So then the director's cut came out, which has more scenes explaining the smokers, doing a bit of character development, basically making the movie good. He hated it. He hated the director's cut. The studio was like, well, this is too long, and he was like, don't worry, guys, I got this. And he changed it. The director hated it. The director actually disassociated himself from the movie, Kevin Reynolds. He was like, I'm out. This sucks. And Kevin Reynolds is famously quoted as saying, Kevin Costner should only act in movies he directs. That way he can work with his favorite actor and director.
Oh. I'm so glad this was Waterworld, because that is a deep burn.
Yeah. So, I think it's a bad film and not a bad director. Kevin Reynolds did his best, and then Kevin Costner was like, fuck you very much. I'm famous.
Oh, what an asshole. I don't like Kevin Costner anymore. Like,
I know, and I really loved Prince of Thieves. Like, that movie, like, I'll watch it again right now and love it.
But apparently, just Kevin Costner's an asshole. Poor Kevin Reynolds that had to work with him, even though he explicitly said no. Man. Okay, well, after your explanation, I'm 100% in agreement with you. That's, Plus, I loved King of Thieves, and he directed that. So, Prince of Thieves. Sorry, not King of Thieves. Who would be the King of Thieves?
King of Thieves, you're thinking of the third Aladdin movie.
Oh, of course I am.
His dad. I really loved that movie, so I think I probably watched it more than the original Aladdin was Aladdin and the King of Thieves.
Right. all of it. That's everything.
Yes, that's everything.
Holy
Yes.
crap, look how efficient we have
Look at us.
become.
We're making time.
How good
it only
are we?
took us 4 episodes.
Look at that, we are becoming actually good at this. Thank you for sticking with us, all 10 listeners, and you know, listening to what we actually have to say, and letting us kind of work out what the fuck we're doing, because we still don't even know, but we're doing well. We're doing well.
We're working it out.
So, alright, The Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies. Is it Battle of the Five Armies, or is it Battle of Five Armies?
You tell me, it's your movie.
Oh god, I don't know. Now I've got to look
I
this
want
up.
to say, I really liked this movie. I genuinely enjoyed it.
Look at that, we've liked each other's movies, but we've hated our own.
It's almost like the premise of the podcast actually works.
It's amazing. Look at this, it took 4 episodes, but we're actually doing a thing. It's amazing. So it is the Battle of the Five Armies, which I'm already going to say is just way too long as a title. Should be a Battle of Five Armies, but okay.
It's from The Hobbit. It's called The Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit.
Yes, but the difference is it's a book. It's supposed to be wordy. Books are wordy. Like, that's the whole point.
Movie titles can be wordy.
Name a longer movie title.
I'll think
Thank
of one.
you.
Wait.
If you can name one by the end of this podcast, I will rescind my earlier comments. But if you cannot, you have about an hour.
If you think I'm not Googling wordy movie titles right now.
Right, so let me give a quick, very basic synopsis of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, quickly. So we open up with, this is the 3rd movie in the series, and we open up with Smaug finally destroying the village of
Boat
Town. I don't even care about the name. Is it Boat Town?
You tell me.
I was trying to be condescending. If it is actually Boat Town, I'm going to be so mad. Oh, it's Lake Town. Okay, so I wasn't far off.
There we go.
Lake Town. Okay. So we open up on the film with Smaug destroying Lake Town, just going to town on Lake Town, if you will, with fire and anger, and he is death, apparently. And so you've got Bard trying to defeat the dragon with normal arrows, and nothing can pierce his skin because he's a dragon, for God's sakes. Eventually he sees that there's a wee little hole in his plate, so his son, in a harrowing dash, was able to find the arrow, give it to the dad. He fires, kills Smaug, Smaug dies, everything's fine. Dwarves go into the Misty Mountain, and they find their gold, and Thorin Oakenshield's looking for the Heartstone. Can't find it, gets dragon sickness.
It's the Arkenstone.
Jesus, I don't know this film because it's so bad.
I'll fight you. I'm ready to fight for this film.
I'm excited to hear your views on this. So they're looking for the Arkenstone, they can't find it. Thorin gets dragon sickness, so he goes a bit crazy about treasure and whatever. Meanwhile, the White Orc is preparing battle on them. Gandalf's off fucking dying under Sauron's hand. There's a lot of plots to get into here. Eventually,
There are literally 2 plots.
There's 3. You've got the Bard's area with trying to survive, keep Lake Town alive. You've got the dwarves and Bilbo, and then you've got Gandalf, who, thank goodness, gets the least screen time. Okay, so
and then the elves are there.
And then the elves are there. Jesus, I can't even keep track. So after a lot of shenanigans and everything goes a bit haywire, eventually everything comes together, sort of, and they have a war. Between the orcs, the elves, the dwarves, the humans, and the 5th army, which is... because apparently there's 5.
Fuck, I've completely forgotten what the 5th army is.
I can't even really think of it myself, to be fair. Which just goes to show about this film. They battle it out. Billy Connolly is there for some reason.
Leave Billy Connolly alone!
And everything becomes normal again. Well, actually, to be fair, and then the White Orc fights Thorin Oakenshield, the White Orc, dies through ice and shit, and it is actually a good battle, I'll give it that. On ice, it's very difficult, which was very fun to watch. And they sort of go their separate ways, I guess. The war ends, the orcs lose by reasons, and then, you know, Thorin becomes unsick because Bilbo did magic things and kind of helped him out as best friends for life. Bilbo heads home. His house is being auctioned off, which was probably my favourite bit of the film. The Sackville Bagginses are just fucking with him and taking all his stuff. And he gets home, he starts writing the book, and then we transition immediately into Lord of the Rings when Gandalf arrives at his door on his 111st birthday, which is a really cute way of saying it, and I will never ever stop calling it that, and I can't wait to reach 111. It's gonna be the best age. And that is a terrible plot summary of The Hobbit. So Simone, your thoughts, please save me.
I love this movie. Okay, I grew up on The Hobbit, and I know everybody's like, oh, they shouldn't have turned The Hobbit into 3 movies, but I am here for it, because I love all of those characters. The more time I can spend with all of those characters, the better. I also like that the movies do expand the book, because when you read the book, and Gandalf's like, they're all like, oh, it's fine, we've got Gandalf with us, and Gandalf's like, bye! You're like, wait, what? And then he pitches up at the end, he's like, by the way, there's an army coming, and you're like, I don't understand. So I like that the movies filled that in. I think it's just a really good epic fantasy. You care about all the characters, you care about all of the different races. The elves are petty, the dwarves are petty, humans are like, we're so hungry, and it's just wonderful. The dwarves are really sassy. I love this movie. It made me so happy. It's vastly entertaining. The fight scenes, as always, were super well choreographed, super well animated. It's so entertaining, and that's all you need. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. It's an epic fantasy, and it has a slight allegory to how power corrupts people, which I always like.
Okay. Yeah, it is always a really nice trope to rely on. And okay, fine. I will concede that it is an epic fantasy, and epic fantasies aren't supposed to be crazy, intense films. They're no Citizen Kanes, and you are right. So, fine, it's not that bad. I will concede. There are things wrong with it, and we will get into them, but I will agree with you. Of the 3 Hobbit films, this is the best Hobbit film.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I like all of them, but this one, I mean, you said it was the worst one initially, and I don't think it's that bad.
No, I don't think... I think, in terms of the Hobbit ones, I've changed my mind. This is maybe my favourite one of the 3. I enjoyed the first one.
Like, the whole battle is really enjoyable.
The battle is really enjoyable. The fact that Billy Connolly says, we're gonna destroy these bastards, just made me hose myself.
Yes.
Fantastic. The scene where Galadriel, the Elf King, whose name I can never remember.
Isildur?
Yeah, Isildur. Is it Isildur? I thought that was...
No, that's the other one. Fuck. Tolkien fans are gonna be mad at us.
Oh, they're gonna be so mad at us. The King of Rivendell, we'll just call him for now, so we're not gonna be, like, upsetting anyone. Where Galadriel, the King of Rivendell, and Gandalf all fight the Nine is such a superbly choreographed scene.
It's beautiful.
Especially given the fact that none of the witches, none of the 9 are real. They're all CGI and just brought in.
Beautiful.
Makes that scene so even better.
And I love Radagast. I love everything Radagast does. He has a chariot drawn by bunnies, and I am on that train.
He is really cool. I think
flawless.
In terms of the wizards, we don't get to see Radagast enough. And it would have...
I would watch a whole movie about him.
I would love to watch a whole movie about all 5 of the wizards, you know?
Yes.
Radagast, Sauron, Gandalf, Red, and is it... Why do we do this to myself? Is it purple? Why are we...
Yeah, you're really listing a lot of things that you can't finish.
And people are going to be so mad. We're going to get so many comments. Okay. There are lovely, lovely bits in this film. The dwarves are just delightful. Their armor, once they get all ready for the battle, their armor is badass.
I will say visually, the whole movie is just stunning. Like, the attention to detail that's put into, like, all the clothes and all the shots and all the landscapes and everything is gorgeous. I really, really liked it.
I mean, some bits annoy me. The use of so much CGI always kind of bugs me, but I do understand it with budgets and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making 3 films. Yeah, fine, fair enough. You know, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of the story in the first one where Sir... Who does Gandalf? Who plays Gandalf?
Ian McKellen?
Where Sir Ian McKellen literally breaks down during a scene because the guy who plays Sauron is in a different country and they're doing their scene via green screen at different times, and so Sir Ian McKellen just full on breaks down, starts crying, and he's like, "This is not why I became an actor. Like, this is not why I'm doing this." And you do feel so bad for him.
Oh, he's only old. I love him. And also, on that note, I will say it was very cool seeing, like, the very beginnings of Saruman moving towards, like, the darker side and joining forces with Sauron. I
really also enjoyed seeing Gandalf not being so badass and knowledgeable. Yeah. He's kind of a bumbling buffoon in these 3 films. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. When he finds the Witch King of Angmar is not actually dead, he's an idiot. Like, full on, so many people actually save Gandalf's life. He is quite useless.
It really feels like when you look back on your late teen years, you know? Like, I by no means know what I'm doing with my life now, but... it's like when I look back when I was like 17, 18, and I'm like, Jesus, I really didn't know then.
I love seeing 18-year-olds now just because they think they're so good and they're breaching the gap of adulthood and they'll know what's going on. And then you realize by 19 that nothing has changed and you are still completely useless.
Yeah, exactly. And that feels like Gandalf's adolescence in a way now.
Before I speak about my favorite message of the podcast, I just want to put out a safety thing about the fucking arrow, because I am unbelievably mad about it.
The arrow?
In the beginning.
Yes. Here we go.
Bard, here we go. In the beginning, Bard, his son brings him the arrow that will pierce Smaug's skin. But the bow is broken, so Bard creates a makeshift bow using his son as the anchor and some string and the bell tower as the ends of the bow.
Yes.
It is a terrible idea to use a human being as a bow. It would rip his shoulder to shreds. Yes. The aim would be a mess.
I mean, at the least it would have cut his carotid just a little bit.
Easily. Not even a question. I mean, I had a friend who used to do archery, and she came into to law school the one day, and her face had just been, like, shredded because she had put the string too close to her face, to her cheek, and it just completely wrecked her face. So you can imagine an arrow flying at that velocity, just slicing through that little kid's skin like a hot knife through butter. Just... would have wrecked him. So that really annoyed me, and I just wanted to put out a PSA about don't use people as bows for arrows, please. I know...
No matter how good the dramatic imagery is.
Don't do it. It's not going to work out well. So, that being said now, my favourite line of the whole fucking movie, and it was so cute, was, I can't remember who said it, if more people valued home above gold, this would be a much merrier place. And when I heard that line, I almost wept. And because I'm a little bit drunk...
That's in The Hobbit, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, lovely. And because I'm a little bit, drunk now, I'm welling. I'm welling a little bit because it's such a nice memory. It's such a lovely line because it's so true. If people just loved being at home with the people they loved more than money...
This is a bit of a segue. Well, not a segue, but it's a sidebar, I guess. I watched Cheapest Weddings, which is a reality show, because I felt like watching something trashy. And
Of course.
I thought it would be very salacious and, like, kind of making fun of people for being a bit tacky. But what it really shows is that it doesn't really matter how much money you spend on your wedding. Like, as long as you're surrounded by people who love you and you're in love with the person who you marry, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be in a backyard, you could be on, like, $1 million plot. Like, does not matter.
Yeah.
Just be surrounded by people who you love, be surrounded by good times and good people, and everything else falls into place. And that was nice.
That is really nice. What a good reality show.
I mean, it has its moments. I'll tell you about it later.
But okay, I'm behind you on that message.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, like, I love that message. And I mean, you spoke about it a little bit earlier about this as being an allegory for how power corrupts and everything, and I agree. And I thought I saw, you know, another sort of allegory in this film of mental health and how we see mental health. You know, I might be pulling at straws here, but the fact that, you know, he gets dragon sickness, and it's called dragon sickness. And a lot of the people, especially the humans, are like, oh, he's just being greedy, he doesn't want to share his money. And a lot of the dwarves even are like, oh, he's going, you know, he's just being a dickhead. There's, like, literally one dwarf, the older one, and Tolkien fans are going to be like, it's Bamba! Or whoever it was. They're just screaming at their headphones now, just telling us which dwarf it is, and we're just like, it's the one with the grey hair.
Tolkien fans are literally just, like, they've left. They're gone already. When we couldn't name all 5 of the armies.
on our professional podcast. So the grey-haired one's like, oh, it's dragon sickness, and he tried to understand he's not actually that mad at Thorin, and even Bilbo's really kind of nice about it. He's like, he tries to help him, you know, by taking the stone away and trying to find a way around it. Everyone else is just like, oh, he's just being a dickhead, and not actually understanding that he has an illness. And so I thought that was like a really nice, even if it's unintentional or if it was intentional, a really nice allegory for how we see mental health in society and how we need to change, because it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He has a disease, and it is a disease, and we need to see mental health as a disease. And we need to speak about it more, and we need to have opened. And if in the Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies, they had spoken about dragon sickness more, and there was a more awareness for dragon sickness, maybe things would have been different. So
what didn't you like about the movie? Because so far you've just said really positive stuff and agreed with me that it's great.
Damn it. I didn't like, and this will fall into the next thing, I didn't like how Smaug, look how proud you are for our non-visual listeners, which is all of you, all 10 of you. Simone's just really chuffed with herself. She gives herself a little shrug, she's got a smile on, she wins this one. She does, I have to admit, she wins this one. But yeah, I would have liked to see more Smaug. The CGI bugs me a bit.
Animators work really fucking hard. Okay.
Oh, they do. I'm not saying that it's a lesser thing, because I know some animators, and all animators, don't smile. Don't do that.
I'm just like,
you have won this one. Like, this is not a winning podcast, but somehow you've won it.
Can I give some of my comments about parts of the film that were considered controversial?
Please, because it seems that you're way more prepared than I am this week.
So a lot of people really bashed the Toriel and Killy relationship, which I thought was a cute addition, and also Killy is by far one of the most handsome dwarves. Like,
oh, he's Poldark. He's amazing.
Really good looking. Like, I don't blame her. And he's like dangerous.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm there.
Have you watched any Poldark?
No, I haven't. Apparently, it's brilliant though.
Oh, so good. I got really into Poldark with my ex, your now best friend.
She's not my best
we used
friend.
to watch it all the time.
I like we're friends.
But yeah, I loved Poldark. So good. Okay. He's really good in that. But yeah, so I agree with you. That relationship is lovely.
Yeah, and people were upset about Bard because they gave him a bigger role in the movie than what he necessarily had in the books. But I think they really worked it into the script quite well. Like, he was just a reasonable person who was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't fight. Maybe we should be trying to rebuild. Maybe we should be getting the money that we asked for. Like, I think in terms of how they wrote the script, it worked out really logically. And I liked that actor. He was Gaston in the live-action Beauty and the Beast, and he was great.
I still haven't seen that, so I've got to take your word for it.
Oh, you haven't seen the new Beauty and the Beast?
No, I haven't.
I kind of want to watch it with you somehow.
Well, we could do what we did with Lights Out, and watch it via Skype.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it because you'd love it. I cried.
I'll download it and we can watch it next week together. That sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's do it. Yay!
Plans for next week.
What was the scene that could have saved it?
Oh, before we do that, I want to hear your theories on the fan fiction. I want to hear all of that. I want to hear, because you messaged me earlier today, and you basically just had a giant boner for the fan theories.
Yes.
So go for it. I want to hear this.
I'm not ashamed of this. You're talking to me like I should be ashamed, and I'm not. So this actually came up during the Desolation of Smaug, and there are basically a lot of fan fictions between Bilbo and Thorin Oakenshield, or as I like to call him, Thorin Dreamboat Shield.
Ah.
He's super dreamy. Can you tell I like brooding characters? But no, because
him and
so there are a lot of
Jason Momoa.
There are a lot of fan fictions between the two of them, because in Desolation of Smaug, there's a lot of steamy eye contact between them, and I think a lot of dialogue between them that works as character development. And then even in Battle of the Five Armies, Bilbo acts as a very like grounding character towards Thorin, and Thorin actually listens to him. And there are a lot of fan fictions between the two, and I'm on board with it. I'm ready for it. Like, why not? Bilbo never married anyone. There's no reason he couldn't have had an affair with a dwarf.
To be fair, you have a good point, and he does, adopt a suspiciously young boy.
Oh, what are you implying about Frodo?
I'm not implying, wow, I should actually take that back. I do apologize to all 0.0% of our gay fandom. I'm not implying that, creepy old gay men just adopt boys. So I do apologize.
Yes, we'll cut it all out. Do you want to start
all of that out? Yeah.
We'll leave it. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think what's nice about this film as well is there's a lot of good silent moments. There's really good not use of dialogue, or as a normal human being would say, good use of silence. There's one scene...
Good use of not dialogue.
Good use of not dialogue. I know film. There's one scene where Bilbo and Gandalf are just sitting down, and Bilbo's like Gandalf is fixing his pipe, and, blowing it, and, they just kind of look at each other. There's no words spoken, and yet they understand each other perfectly, and we understand them perfectly. And it's just... it's great. And like you said, there's loads of silent moments and really nice interactions between Bilbo and Hunky McThorin and Hunkyfield. Yeah, but like you said, let's move on to the next section of the scene that could have saved it. So what was your scene that could have saved it? What do you think?
I think it was already a good movie, so I don't think there was a specific scene that could have saved it. I enjoyed the whole thing. One thing I did find notable... One thing I did really like, and I guess this is leading in from the fanfiction thing, but I genuinely thought it was a sweet scene, was like, Thorin is in the midst of his dragon sickness, like, he's full on power hungry, and then he's talking to Bilbo, and he's like, what's in your pocket? And he pulls out, like, this acorn, and he's like, no, I got it from this dude's garden, I'm gonna bring it back with me, and it'll remind me of, like, all the adventures I've been on. And Thorin just, like, has this moment of, like, that's, like, just really sweet and innocent and lovely, and it's just like such a well acted sweet moment between two characters who are at odds, and I loved that. But I loved the whole movie, so I'm not gonna get too bogged down in it. I don't think there was a scene that could have saved it, because I think it was a great movie already.
But I agree with you on those scenes. I think that's what we all loved about the Lord of the Rings films, is that even though there's so much darkness and everything, there was those really nice little scenes where it was something about home, or something about friendship, and something about love. It's those moments why you love Lord of the Rings. It's not for the battles. It's not for the crazy visuals. I mean, those things help.
Yeah.
But it's for the moments that are genuine. And that's what's beautiful about these series.
I actually quickly Googled one of my favorite Gandalf quotes, which I still adore. And I think probably the whole series goes by that, which is Saruman believes it is only great power that can hold evil in check. But that is not what I have found. I found that it is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. And I think that's the whole point of The Hobbit, is that, like, small people make a difference. Like, every little thing you do matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just nice.
Okay. I've changed my mind. This is a good film.
Yes!
You've won. I'm sad that I couldn't change your mind about Waterworld, as it stands, but yeah, that's fine. You win. So, my scene that I think would have made the film better was more Smaug. I'm so unbelievably upset about the level of Smaug in all three films. I love Benesmooge Pendergast. The fact that he can't say penguin just makes me laugh so hard. But no, he is a good actor, but yeah, like, just the dragon. I mean, the dragon is the big thing of this film. It's why people love, or, you know, it's one of the things that I love the most about the book. And it would have just been really nice to see even more of him. I feel there was a bit in the second film, and then, yeah, it just kind of fell apart, and there wasn't that much, and then he died, and it was like, okay. I mean, the whole film of the second one is called The Desolation of Smaug, but there wasn't that much desolation caused by Smaug. There was a little bit, and then that was it. And he kind of just disappeared, and I think I would have liked to see more of Smaug. But apart from that, that's all I could really say about that.
I get that.
And on that flat note, let's move on to bad director or bad film. Now...
Neither! Yay!
And that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. No. Thank you. No.
Simone wins.
And that's the end of the podcast. No. This guy, Peter Jackson, director of Lord of the Rings, all three of them, excellent films. There are little bits of crazy in the Lord of the Rings. There's one scene where Boromir's brother Faramir, thank you Tolkien fans, we're gonna do better now, because this is Lord of the Rings, which is kind of my wheelhouse. Faramir has like a dream, and within the dream there's a flashback, and that's insane. You cannot have a film that has a dream and then a flashback within the dream, because people get lost.
Leave them alone! It was important to Faramir's character building and Boromir's.
You are getting really defensive of these films.
I will defend Peter Jackson.
So apart from the Lord of the Rings films, he has also directed King Kong. He was the director of a bunch of short films and documentaries, like Crossing...
Sorry, is that the most recent King Kong?
Yes. No. Not the 2005 one with all the CGI, which was a bad one. It was the bad one.
Okay. No, because the most recent one was very good.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it.
It's lovely. It has our guy, Tom Hiddleston, in it.
Oh, we like him.
He has very tanned, muscular forearms.
Oh, good. That's lovely. What we do love. But no, he did the bad King Kong. So that's points against him. No. And then, quite literally, in everything else, I have no idea any of these films. He was in Crossing the Line, which was a short film. He directed Forgotten Silver, don't know that one. Heavenly Creatures, don't know that one. Brain Dead, don't know that one. Meet the Feebles, don't know that one. Bad Taste, don't know that one. 1976 was his first film directing. The Valley, nope, never heard of any of these films. No. So on the basis of the films I do know, which is The Lord of the Rings, King Kong, and The Hobbit, I'm gonna have to say he's a bad director.
How dare you?
Lord of the Rings was great. He did really well.
The Hobbit movies were great too. We've just established this.
They were films that were good, but they weren't great films, and they don't make him a good director. I think in terms of the Lord of the Rings, he was great. The King Kong finishes him. The King Kong alone makes him a bad director. I think his reliance on CGI is unfortunate, which makes him a bad director.
He has a big imagination.
I think he's a good producer, and that's where I will defend him. He has produced things like District 9.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the producer on that. He was a producer on most of his films as well as a director. So I will back him in terms of being a good producer. I think if he has too much involved, he was a producer on The Lovely Bones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I will he also directed The Lovely Bones, but that's besides the point. I'm not trying to stack it in my favor, but I think he's good so long as he's a little bit further away from things. I mean, District 9 is a spectacular film. I really enjoyed that. So
yes.
I'd say as a producer he's really good. As a director, not so great. But also the most interesting thing I've found about our good friend Peter Jackson, he did a cameo in Hot Fuzz.
What?
He was the guy dressed as Father Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
Good
makes
for
me
him.
so happy. Good for him. So yeah, I'd say he's a good producer. Not so great. I wouldn't call him a bad director. I'd just say he's okay. So that endeth the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies. So let's move on to our next section, which is It's Not That Good. So, Simone, tell me your film that I'm probably going to get really mad at you about.
This week for It's Not That Good, I'm gonna say Gravity with Sandra Bullock in it.
Okay, I'm paying attention because I didn't necessarily think it was a good film either, but I didn't think it was a bad film, but I'm excited.
I didn't... Look, it's not a bad film. It's just not that good. I love Sandra Bullock. I think she was amazing in the role. I think she really buffed up for that role, and she looked incredible as well. But it is literally just a film, super reliant on CGI, where everything goes wrong. Yes, George Clooney is in it. He just plays himself. And yeah, it's just, it's a visually very incredible film and very well acted, but at the end of the day, it's not very good storytelling. And yeah, it's just, this keeps going wrong, this keeps going wrong, she keeps surviving it because she's Sandra Bullock, and that's it.
I have to agree with you on this one, to be fair. I'm not going to fight you on this one. This isn't going to be a Scott Pilgrim thing. It's kind of hard to watch at moments because there's so much spinning and, just aggressively, horribly swift camera angles that, pardon me, make it very difficult to watch. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just, I think it will fall just by the wayside. I don't think it's, I agree with you. It's not that good. It's not that good.
Thank you. That was quick.
Nice. That was very easy. We both agree on something that we
once.
don't like. Are you ready to get mad?
I don't know. Tell me.
Are you ready to get your heckles up and defend this?
I mean, I've already done it once for a movie and I won, so I'm really ready.
Whoa! Yeah, you won today. You did not win Harry Potter. I beat you with Harry Potter.
We both
last
love
week.
Harry Potter, though, so it's really
We
not.
do.
Like, it's such a non-argument.
So we both lost. Yeah, we both lost in that one. Okay. And I know there's going to be a lot of fans who do not like this.
Oh,
what I'm about to say.
I'm ready.
The Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies came out in 2014, and it is always a practice of mine to see which films took the top 10 in the year that my film was made. In that top 10 of that year...
Okay.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
What is wrong with you?
The Guardians of the Galaxy is not that good.
Who hurt you? It's not even meant to be. It's not, it's supposed to be Oscar worthy. It's just a nice, comedy action movie to act as a palate cleanser between Avengers movies.
I will make the argument that it is the worst of all the Marvel films, including The Amazing Spider-Man 2, featuring...
Including Ant-Man?
How dare you, madam? Ant-Man is a fantastic film. You will have to bring
Guardians
this
of the
up.
Galaxy is better than Ant-Man.
It is not better than Ant-Man.
It 100% is way better than Ant-Man.
The Guardians of the Galaxy relies on things which you yourself have professed to hate from such books as our both favourite book of all time, Ready Player One. These are things that you hate from that book. Nostalgia and relying on sexual innuendo that you hate.
No. No. The reason I don't like the nostalgia in Ready Player One is because he uses it for lazy descriptions. Because he won't describe anything. He'll just be like, oh, it looks like this landscape from this obscure game. And you're like, I don't know what that fucking looks like. Nostalgia in itself is not a bad thing. 80s music was great.
Okay. Yes, 80s music was great.
So I will fight you on that. And then what was your other one?
It is the white bread of all Marvel films. It is so bland and pointless that it doesn't even deserve to be mentioned. Okay, I thought I was being a bit harsh at first when I first watched the film, but then I re-watched it, and I felt the exact same way. Yes, I giggled a little more than I did in the first time I watched it, but still, terrible. The only thing that redeems that film is the colour scheme. Everything else is atrocious. Okay? Star-Lord is just a womanizing douche who is just there. He has no sort of backstory or...
But they run with that, and he clearly does have a backstory. That's the whole plot of the second Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's the second one. Exactly. Like, just, if he's your main character, if he's your protagonist, you need to get this established. Okay, yeah, he doesn't know who his father is, and he gets beamed up. Cool, fine, whatever. But it's the fact that there's just no consistency through the film. All it relies on is, oh, this was 80s and he's funny because he hasn't kind of adapted to time. And, you know, the jokes are all really one-dimensional in terms of their characterizations. Like, Groot is only funny because he can say, I'm Groot. The guy played by Batista, whose name I can't even remember, is just funny because he's literal. Gamora isn't funny. And Rocket is just this loudmouth raccoon, and that's what makes him funny. It's just so white bread. So white bread.
Who hurt you, Chad? That's all I want to ask, is who hurt you? It is a delightful film. It is family friendly. It's a nice space action film. It pretends to be nothing else.
No, it's just...
No, I love every single character. I love the soundtrack. I love the visuals. I love the script writing. It was funny. It was brilliant. It was what we all needed after Winter Soldier. And I strongly disagree with you.
See, that's the thing. Winter Soldier is great because it's aggressive and deep and dark and dingy, and that's really nice. Ant-Man, which apparently you hate, and I think you need to bring this up.
I don't hate it. It's just not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is untrue. Ant-Man is hilarious. It relies on decent jokes and perspective and hilarity, and it speaks to the soul. It's the fact that he is that one joke about having a master's degree and then he has to go work at a frozen yogurt shop. It's just...
That is hilarious.
Thank you. What memorable jokes are there from Guardians? What memorable jokes?
All of them. All of their jokes are memorable.
Name one.
The one where Rocket Raccoon wants him to steal the guy's leg. That's really funny. Everything Groot says is hilarious.
Oh, you mean I am Groot?
Yes. You're not going to change my mind on this. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I will not stop loving Guardians of the Galaxy.
Look, I feel, I've lost this episode, which I didn't know was a thing until now. But, yeah, no, Guardians is not a good film. The only thing that is good about it is its soundtrack, which is not even about film. The only film which soundtrack is imperative to is Baby Driver, as far as I can remember and recall at this short notice. That is the only film where the soundtrack actually matters. If you are relying on a soundtrack to make your film good, then it is not a good film.
They weren't relying on the soundtrack to make the good film. It was just an excellent, icing on the cake. And you could have had the sponge alone. You wouldn't need the icing. That's how good it was.
The sponge was dry. It had a good color, but it was dry.
The sponge was perfectly moist.
It was dry. There was... The dough hadn't been improved. It was dense. I have watched a lot of Bake Off recently. I have seriously gotten into the Great British Bake Off.
It had a soggy bottom.
I didn't know. My eyes have been opened. I've been reformed to the Bake Off. I did not think it was going to be a good show, but I have watched like all the first 4 seasons because they're now on Netflix.
Do you know what you need to watch? Is Zumbo's Just Desserts on Netflix. It's delightful. It's like Australian British, or it's like the Great Australian Bake Off, but like with more advanced desserts, and it's super colorful and beautiful, and it's lovely, and they're all really nice to each other.
That sounds delightful. But yes, that is how I feel about Guardians. I know you don't agree, and I guess that's how we have to leave that.
We're still friends.
Because so, Simone, what are you going to do next week?
Chad, next week I'll be doing Warcraft.
And I shall do Gods of Egypt. So, in preparation, please go and watch those films.
Both great action-y CGI films, lots of whitewashing.
It's going to be good fun. I'm excited for what we have to say about these films, because at this moment in time I have not seen either of them. So, I'm excited to see what's not that bad about them.
I enjoyed Warcraft. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay, I'm excited to see it on your basis. Even we disagree a lot, it seems, but for 2 very good friends, we seem to disagree a lot. But we'll find this common ground. Yeah, and there endeth the podcast. I guess. Thank you all for listening. It's been really good fun. I've had a good time.
Chad, how are you?
I'm good. I'm going to Scotland tomorrow. I'm going on holiday for a week up to Arran, which is an island off of Ayrshire, with the girlfriend's family. We're gonna have a good time. A bunch of my Scottish customers wanted me to come and visit their shops, and I was just like, I am not gonna do that while I'm on holiday. So yeah, I'm writing a play, a musical with Gray from last week's episode. We're doing Jurassic Park the musical, so enjoy that. That's going to be coming to you sometime in 2019, and that's sort of what's happening in my life. How about you, Simone? How are you?
I'm very good. I did my competency on Monday.
How did that go?
I am competent, it turns out.
Hey!
Yes,
look at that.
I've learned that I do not like shotguns.
No?
They hurt and they suck, and I'm not a fan. I like precision and not hurting.
Does it really wreck your shoulder? Because I've never fired a shotgun.
Yeah, it really fucking hurts. It blew my personal protective equipment off my head.
Good lord.
Was how much of a kick it had. It just blew off my earmuffs and my goggles. And I was just like, oh, I hate this.
So what are you competent in now? All guns?
Yeah, so I'm competent with a handgun. I'm competent with a shotgun. I am competent with a manual rifle or carbine. And a self-loading rifle or carbine.
Wow. Look at you, Mrs. Competent.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Safe.
Thank you. I didn't think I'd manage. But
here you are.
Here I am.
Gun competent ownership. I mean, and that's what we can promote on this podcast. That's not about guns or political issues at all. Is safe gun ownership. That's all we want.
Yes, I'm very happy to jump through all of these hoops in order to eventually have a gun.
Exactly. It's about responsible gun ownership, and it's very good of you, and I'm proud of you, and at least I know you're going to be safe. You've got you'll have a gun.
I mean, I don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice, but at least you're safe,
Yes.
And that's what matters. We can continue this podcast knowing that you are safe, and that's what matters.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what else is happening in your life right now?
I just finished 1.5 articles for Forge and Flint. You've gotten the most edited one. I'm still just finishing up another one. And then other than that, nothing really. And for yourself, besides the vacation?
I've also written 2 articles, which you yourself have edited for me. All 3 of these articles, Simone's, will be published tomorrow, which is the 3rd of June, which you will probably be hearing this way after, but go check it out. It's about the meaning of organic and are you wasting your money on it, and it's going to be really good. My article, which you will probably also read in the future when it's already been published, is about Footloose and why it is the most important movie of all time. Which it's good reading on forgeandflint.com, which is the sort of owner of this podcast, and sort of something we started together, both Simone and I.
Yes.
And go check that
But
out.
mainly you.
Well, I had the idea, you came up with the name. So, yeah, visit it.
I mean, we both came up with the name, because that was a week-long process.
Oh, God, we wanted to call it Vampire with a Y. We've learned.
Full name being Vampire with a Y.
Yeah, .com.
.com.
Which is excellent. So yeah, go check it out, www.forgeandflint.com. Where can the people find you, Simone?
At the moment, people can just follow me on Instagram at Simone, SIMONE .LE.ROUX. And that's it. And they can read my articles at Forge and Flint.
Yeah, brilliant. And you can find me on Facebook. No, you can't. Don't find me on Facebook.
No.
No. You can also find me on Instagram under chatsby1993. That's CHADSBY 1993. Or follow Forge and Flint on Facebook at Forge and Flint. Or on Instagram at Forge_Flint. Or on Twitter at Forge and Flint. And those are the places you can find us. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Follow us, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Just scream it into their faces.
And, watch shit movies on your own and tell us about it. And maybe we'll watch those shit movies and try to be nice about them.
Absolutely. And if you have any suggestions for us, like Simone says, do so. Thank you so much. And as we always say on this podcast,
we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Bye.